Well, good evening, everyone, and let's give a big round of applause to the USC Marching Band. And on behalf of the USC Sol Price School of Public Policy, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this kickoff celebration of our 90th anniversary as a school. And it's really fitting that we are holding this first event in the historic Los Angeles City Hall. We chose this location tonight because of our roots. Our very first classes were held right here in City Hall. Back in 1929, near the end of the progressive movement, a group of public officials, as well as good governance groups, and interestingly enough, also a women's advocacy group who were upset by the corruption and inefficiency in government, came to the USC and asked for the creation of a brand new school. And USC responded to that call, and they created this new school to advance professionalism, expertise, and ethics in public service. So we opened our doors 90 years ago. We became, at that time, the second school of public affairs in the nation and the first school in the West. In 1935, we were also the very first school in the country to offer the Master of Public Administration degree. 9 decades later, believe it or not, we are number 2 again. This past year, U.S. News & World Report ranked us as number 2 among 283 public affairs schools in the country, and yes, we are still number 1 in the West. From our founding onward, our works at the Price School has been bolstered by partnerships with local and state government, the nonprofit sector, the private sector, and leaders at USC, as well as in LA and beyond. And it's really wonderful to have so many of these great partnerships reflected in the lineup and in the attendance here tonight. And I would like to take a moment just to thank our speakers. First, State Treasurer Fiona Ma, State Senator Maria Elena Durazo, USC Provost Michael Quick, and Leonard D. Schaeffer, member of the USC Board of Trustees. Could we have a round of applause for our speakers this evening? It's also an honor to have so many elected officials here celebrating us with us tonight, showing their support for our mission. And I want to thank you to State Assembly members Stephen Choi and Miguel Santiago, as well as LA County Assessor Jeffrey Prang, LA County Council Member Paul Krikorian, and LA Community College District Representative Scott Swankin. And in addition, we are pleased to have General Peter Gravitt, former Secretary of the California Department of Veterans Affairs, with us as well. So would you please acknowledge our public officials who are with us this evening? We actually had, I shouldn't say this, but a set of other people in that group who were coming, and I don't know, the rain, I guess, over the course of the afternoon, they couldn't make it. So, but we're pleased with all of you who could go through the weather and endure that and be here as well. In addition, I'd like to acknowledge members of the Price School Board of Counselors who are here tonight. Dick DeBakis, Cara Esposito, George Pla, Dick Polanian, Tara Roth, Leonard Schaeffer, and Harriet Welch. Would you please acknowledge our members of the Board of Counselors? In addition, I want you to acknowledge one of my very favorite people, and that is Executive Vice Provost Elizabeth Grati. As you know, she worked with me for 10 years as the Vice Dean for Academic and Faculty Affairs at the Price. So Elizabeth, thank you so much. And of course, to put on an event like this and to have a set of activities over this whole year, there's a large number of people involved. And so I want to thank in groups some of these people as well. I would like to give a special thanks to the individuals and organizations providing financial support for the initiatives related to our 90th anniversary, and this is just the kickoff event. We're going to have several over the course of the year. One example of this is our public-private fellowship program, designed to give our students the opportunity to hold fellowships in both the public and the private sector, allowing them to gain insightful knowledge about the roles of each sector in advancing societies. And the information about that is in your program. And so many people have provided support for this fellowship as well as for this event. And I would like to express our gratitude to Lynn and Herman Chan, the Cordoba Corporation, Leonetti O'Connell Family Foundation, First 5 LA, the Union Pacific Railroad, and Wendy Wachtel for their generosity. So please thank all of them for their contributions. And I'm not done. In addition, we want to thank the host committee, whose names are listed in the program, and the USC Price faculty, staff, and students that are part of our 90th anniversary committee. They've been working for the last 6 months to put all these events together, and I'm really, really appreciative of all the work the faculty and the staff and the students have done as well. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to give a heartfelt thanks to Steve Samulian, who chaired our host committee and set the vision for this celebration tonight in this beautiful rotunda and in the place where legislation is done here in the city. Steve has always been a great champion of USC Price and has worked incredibly hard to bring everyone together here this evening. So I thank you, Steve, for all that you've done on our behalf. Could we give a round of applause for Steve Samulian? And now it's my great pleasure to introduce a person who doesn't really like long introductions, and that's my boss, the Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost of the University of Southern California. So please give a warm welcome to Professor Michael Quick.
Thank you, Jack. That introduction was still too long. I want to give a big thanks to your better half, Cherry Short. Cherry, good seeing you. Great to have you here. I'm still not sad I stole Elizabeth Grati from you, Jack. Yeah, I know you are. And thanks for inviting me, even though I did that. And thank you all for being here. One reason the Price School is what it is. And it is one of the great public policy schools in the country, is because of its terrific partnerships. And I know Jack mentioned that, but I just want to re-emphasize that. With our governmental organizations, with nonprofits, community members, and all of our partners, I want to thank you for making us a better school of public policy and a better university. And so thank you all, and thank you all for being here. You know, the Price School has an extraordinary biography. The early days of teaching classes here to transforming now skylines of every major city in the country through its real estate program, to leading some of the nation's top nonprofit and advocacy groups, to serving as elected officials in every branch and level of government, and to administering some of the largest healthcare systems today. And doing this not just locally, and not just nationally, but around the world. And more than just turning out great leaders of the professions of real estate and public service, the faculty of Price are also leading the scholarship that is inventing the future and changing the 21st century. I am so very proud of what our faculty scholars do every day, using evidence-based research and policy analysis as a way to inform decision makers and solve complex challenges. So congratulations to the faculty of the Price School, especially to Dean Jack Knott and his team for the school's almost #1 ranking. Most important than rankings, thank you to the impressive Price alumni pioneers who, since 1929, for having a positive impact in the world. Thank you to the Price family for their investment in the most impactful policy school of the 21st century. Happy 90th birthday, USC Price. Fight on.
Well, thank you, Michael, for those inspiring and supportive words, and we really look forward to working with you over the course of this year as we continue our celebration of our 90th anniversary. What some of you may know is that in 1929, the founders of the school came together with the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, other dignitaries, faculty, and staff, and they embarked on a flight for civic progress. They flew in an airplane to several destinations in the state, announcing the formation of this new school and their commitment to the public good. From that time on, the Price School has met each generation of challenges with purpose, principle, and a pioneering spirit, forging solutions to create a more resilient and just world. We were first called the USC School of Citizenship and Public Administration, reflecting our founders' interest in civic engagement and the role of citizens in policy. They didn't want a government that aggrandized itself, but rather one that worked to improve the quality of life for people and their communities. And that mission also defines our school to this very day. We take an interdisciplinary approach to solving the governance, planning, development, and policy issues confronting society. From the very first classes, we offered urban planning as well as public administration and policy. And as the Provost mentioned, we use expertise and data to make a difference. In today's polarized political world, evidence-based policy analysis should be a catalyst to dialogue, not weaponized for political division. And one of the main ways we accomplish this is through our amazing research centers. And the largest center in the school is the Leonard D. Schaeffer Center for Health Policy and Economics. We are grateful to Leonard and Pamela Schaeffer for their significant investment in this center and the school. And I'd like you to give a round of applause to Leonard Schaeffer, who is here with us tonight. Leonard will say a few words actually a little later in the program as well. We also plan, finance, and build vibrant cities that work. People need homes,
good jobs and schools, efficient transportation,
access to health care, and spaces to enjoy with loved ones. And our work supports these fundamental development community needs. We also care about good governance and vibrant communities, not only here in LA, but around the world. Almost from the beginning, we were providing consulting on urban planning and design and training public administrators and leaders around the world. In Asia, the Middle East, South America, Europe, it's remarkable how many leaders today are in positions that were actually educated in part by the Price School. And also importantly, our understanding of public administration and policies, as well as our other disciplines, is tied to a set of fundamental public service values. The name public administration in the original title did not just denote efficiency and management. It pointed to a set of values that, in Elliot Richardson's famous statement, include, quote, the value of human dignity and equality, as well as such essential contributions to these ends as fairness, tolerance, and mutual respect, unquote. And we try to instill that in all of our students across the various programs that we have. And our alumni, I think, represent those values. Now, many of these ideals were shared by our early founders and by our more recent namesake, the late Saul Price, a visionary entrepreneur and business leader. Saul Price was guided by a moral compass to support public policies and invest in urban development to improve the quality of life for low-income communities, immigrants, and diverse populations. and we are so grateful to the Price family for their incredible investment in and commitment to our school. And I'm really sorry that the Prices are not here this evening. They live in San Diego. They got about halfway here in the middle of a terrible rainstorm, and they had to turn around and go back. So they send all their good wishes to this evening, and they'll be engaged with us in some of our other events this year. So throughout the coming year, we will celebrate the achievements of the past 9 decades, advancing our goals for academic distinction, strengthening diversity and inclusion, and elevating our global footprint. But our footprint starts right here at home in California, a state that plays a really important role in America's future. It is a state whose innovative spirit, dynamic economy, care for the environment, and embrace of diversity are an example for the rest of the country. Our next few speakers are going to represent the great state of California and the country, and will speak briefly about the role of public policy in our school and the future of America. But before I pass this mic along, I would like to say how incredibly touched I am to see all of you here this evening, showing your support and enthusiasm for all we have accomplished to date. It really means a lot to me. But I'm even more excited and filled with expectations about the next 10 years and our 100th anniversary and beyond. We have the ambition and the determination to be the #1 school in the country and the world.
All right, there you go.
Just as important, we want to have a greater impact on the academic fields of study and in public policy and in the community. We want to improve communities and public policy for the better. And we look forward to innovative approaches to educating the next generation of leaders in the public and private sectors and to becoming a truly global school of public policy. And I know that with all of your help and support, we are going to accomplish all of these very ambitious goals. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Knott, as well as Dr. Quick, for inviting us here today, and especially Steve Samuelian. Where is Steve? Steve, there he is, in the back. It is my honor to be here. I am in my 4th week on the job. But before I talk about my job a little bit, I am a first-generation American-born. My parents were both born in China. I am the oldest child. Like many other parents coming here to this country, my parents wanted us to be a lawyer, engineer, accountant, or a doctor, one of the lead professions. So like the dutiful first daughter, I became an accountant. I got my CPA working with Ernst & Whinney, Ernst & Young in the real estate department. Got my master's in taxation, and I left after 5 years and started my own practice. And someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, Ms. Ma, if you want to advance your practice quickly, you should be president of the Asian Business Association. It's a nonprofit. We're not going to pay you. It won't be a lot of work. Exactly. I was young and gullible. I was 28 years old, so I said, okay, I'll do it. And that started me down the path of public service. Looking around, there were not a lot of Asians that were sitting at the table, certainly not a lot of Asians elected officials, and especially small business owners. We talk about small business owners as the backbone of the economy, yet it seems like more and more laws get passed, and it became more and more difficult for these small business owners to survive. So that's how I started down this path, and I wanted to run for office, and my parents would say, please don't do that. Don't embarrass us. Being a CPA is a respectable, honorable profession. And, you know, a couple years down the road of asking them to please, you know, bless me, they said, we'd like you to go get your MBA. That would make us happy, so I went and got my MBA. And then I said, okay, Mom and Dad, can I run for office? And they said, no, we would like you to get married. You're 34 years old, your younger brother is waiting to get married. You need to get married first. So I found a nice guy and I got married. And then I said, Mom and Dad, I've done everything you've wanted. I've been the perfect child. I got straight A's. I never argued, never got in trouble. Please let me do one thing for me. And they finally said, okay, fine. You want to do that? We're moving to Las Vegas. So they left. And that was the first time I was able to do something for me. So I was 36 years old. I ran for the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. In a chamber, we have 11 members on the board, so a big chamber like this. I got elected in the Sunset District, which was considered the Chinese district, but before that it was the Irish district. So I think having a name like Fiona Ma actually helped me get elected. And there were 7 other candidates in the race, and I worked the hardest. Number 1, because I didn't want my parents to say, I told you so. And number 2, I didn't want to go back and do taxes for a living. So I served 4 years on the Board of Supervisors, and then the assembly seat opened up, and I'm sure Maria Elena is going to talk about how wonderful the legislature is, because I loved it. And I served 6 years there under 3 speakers, all from here: Fabian Nunez, Karen Bass, and John Perez. And so I was the majority whip and speaker pro tem 2006 to 2012 during the Great Recession. We managed to survive. Then I had term limits, faced term limits. And so I was home. By this time, my parents had moved back from Las Vegas, living with me. And my dad says, well, it's about time. You know, you did that. Why don't you go back and make money? You know, go back and work for a CPA firm. And I said, no, Dad, I still love public service. I'm going to run for the State Board of Equalization. And my dad said, what is that? So he Googled it, and it's a tax board, right? We have 2 tax boards here in California, the Franchise Tax Board and the State Board of Equalization. So he's like, okay, it's getting a little bit closer, all right. So I served there for 4 years as your friendly tax collector, going back to really trying to help small business owners understand the laws and comply and stay out of trouble. And then I just won as your state treasurer, and I have to say, my parents are finally proud of me. So, as your state treasurer, $2 trillion comes through my office. I manage $85 billion in bonds and $92 billion of short-term investments for the state, as well as all the local governments. But our new governor, Governor Gavin Newsom, has put forth a very audacious goal of building 3.5 million homes by 2025. And if you do the math, that means about 500,000 homes every year. And you are all in this urban planning, housing business. You know that is a very ambitious goal. So I'm going to say, I'm going to maybe hire your school, since you offered your consulting services, to help us figure out how to bring in those opportunity zone dollars. I just went to a conference and 1,000 people are sitting in a room going, hey, is California the place to put our money? And I dare say, yes, we are. With new leadership from Gavin Newsom, as well as our whole constitutional officers, we want to help. We want to help. We went from the 12th largest economy in 2012 due to the Great Recession to now the 5th largest economy. And your office called me and said, what are your predictions, right? I would say we would like to be the 4th largest economy. We'd like to be first, but I don't think we're going to get there. So 4th largest economy. And the reason we we're able to advance to the 5th largest economy is because of our real estate, our IT, and our manufacturing. We created 2 million jobs here in California, and our economists say that we are going to continue on this path of growth, but we need housing. right? All of you know, where are people going to live? It is not feasible to sit in traffic for 2 or 3 hours. If there isn't the public transportation, people need to have homes where they work, where they live. And so that is my, my challenge to all of you, is to help us in California get to that goal. And we all need to, yes? And we all need to work together. We need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to compromise a little bit. We need to, right, Mary Elena, as she's going to talk about, work with the legislature, work with local governments, work with all of the stakeholders here to get that done. But I am very honored to be here. I look forward to getting things done. For those of you who have worked with me, like Assessor Jeff Prang, my dad always says, today is too late. And so every day I am going to work as hard as I can to help meet all the goals and keep California golden and hopefully become the 4th largest economy in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as my sister Fiona says, it's really great to be here for this celebration. So I'm glad to see you all. My colleagues in the state government, hello. And also a big shout out to Steve for allowing me, inviting me to be here. It's really great to be in these City Hall chambers. I have spent most of my life in one way or another engaged with people on sitting down and facing those who made the final decisions and who voted. And we've taken on, in the city of Los Angeles, public policies that have been copied all over the country. And so that's a great thing to be proud of, that the public policy is actually an engagement with the communities. It's an engagement with environmentalists. It's engaging with business. It's engaging with working families. And that's how I think we come up with the best policies, the best public policies for our cities, county, and for the state and country. We pass public policies having to do with fair land use policies. What's the best use for our community's broader well-being? What's the best use of our land? Living wages. We were the 1st largest city in the country to pass a living wage policy. First time in the country. That was a good thing for our community to have something that was higher than the bare bones minimum wage. Business development, and most recently, public policies like allowing street vendors to continue to exist so that they could raise their families. What is wrong with being at the very beginning stages of an entrepreneur? Somebody who wants to invest, wants to create jobs, and also support their family. That's an honorable thing to do. And so those kinds of public policies were debated here. They were debated by regular working community people with our decision makers. And so I think that's the best part of public policy for me. The best part is engaging each other so that you could debate and you have the evidence, as was mentioned, you have the data, you have all of this, but you also have heart and soul. You have heart and soul as to what you know is needed, the best things that are needed. So for those of you who are students today, you have the privilege of pursuing your studies, a degree in public policy at one of America's finest universities. But I would say to you that with this opportunity comes a great obligation that you extend a hand to build a better society, that you use, that you're being trained to be problem solvers. And I think that means to be listeners. So as you move forward in public policy careers, you should do so with an eye toward civic morality, Focus on equitable solutions to these kinds of challenges that our society faces. Focus on what unites us rather than what divides us. You will learn that the challenges here in California are unique, and soon you'll be tasked with what should be the unique solutions to those challenges. We can't wait for other states to come up with the best policies, or even our federal government, especially this administration. On the contrary, others look to us. They do look to California. And in just a few years, those of your students, they'll be looking to you. In some ways, we live in the most creative and innovative state in the world, with our 5th largest economy. And we compete not with other states, but rather with other countries. Think about that. A state that competes with other countries. And that's why, of course, people come from all over the world. From China, in my case, from Mexico, with real opportunity, with hopes of achieving that better life. So we are a living laboratory to understand the challenges of how to create an equitable and fair society. But yet, sisters and brothers, go to Malibu, it's the land of 8-figure real estate, and then you go to Skid Row, the largest open-air homeless community in the United States. The physical distance is less than 30 miles, but the metaphorical distance could be measured in light years. A city where the rich are very rich and the poor are very poor. The result is inequality, and it spreads out to education, to environmental issues, to housing, you name it. It goes out from there. So how do we construct a society that truly allows for upward mobility? That's a question for today's policymakers. We're at our best when we elevate each other rather than drag each other down. And we can't pretend that we are all right now on a level playing field. If we do, we're missing the boat. This is where all of you come in, both those who have graduated, who have gone on, and those who are studying right now. The problem solvers, policymakers, nonprofit executives, analysts, educators, organizers, advocates, professors. The challenges facing our state in the 21st century are pressing. They're in urgent need of resolution. Healthcare, a pressing challenge for California. Too many in our state still do not have affordable healthcare, and especially if you were not born in this country. This year, I'm proud to continue the work of Senator Ricardo Lara, who has just been elected our state commissioner. We introduced SB 29 to provide health care coverage for Californians, regardless of where you were born. Let's stop excluding entire groups of men, women, and children just because of their immigration status. That's wrong, that's inhumane, and it does no good for our public. Here in California, we are showing the rest of the country that immigrants are a valuable economic driver. We aspire to integrate, not isolate, our immigrant population, because you know what? They are contributors, not takers. As we wrestle with 21st century challenges such as housing affordability, and thank you for that challenge, and thank you to the governor for being bold in putting out the resources that are needed. Quality education, access to health care. We need powerful but new ideas. So this is the perfect place to make that challenge as a group, as a school, as individuals. So I challenge us, tackle your research with inventive lens. Work in our community with labor, with elected officials, with nonprofits, to use this journey to have a real impact on improving the quality of life for all residents of Southern California. And of course, I think across the world. Best wishes, Dean Knott, the faculty, alumni, students, and here's to another 90 years of success and impact. Congratulations, Trojans.
Good evening. I'd like to begin by thanking the two ladies who preceded me for adjusting the microphone down to a human level. You may have noticed that Dean Knott is entirely too tall. In my experience, anyone over 5'9" is just showing off, and he is really showing off. I'd also, before I begin my prepared remarks, which shall be brief, I'd like to comment on something that our treasurer said. The words were, "We won't pay you, and it won't be a lot of work." Those are exactly the words that Jane Pisano told me when I became a member of the advisory board of the School of Public Policy. Those words were repeated when I joined the board of trustees at USC. They still are not paying me, and it is a hell of a lot of work. Anyhow, I am very pleased to add my congratulations to USC for being among the first to establish the School of Policy. I'd also like to congratulate the Price School. I'm very sorry that the Prices are not here for the excellent results that it has achieved in both educating students and having a positive impact on public policy. And finally, despite certain problems I have with his size, I'd like to congratulate Dean Knott on his tenure, which has seen excellent growth and substantial increases in funding for the very important efforts of the school. I have spent most of my professional career either in government, both state and federal level, or running organizations that were subject to rapidly changing governmental, legal, and regulatory oversight. As a result, I'm afraid I've learned the hard way that there's a big difference between the political process, personal opinions, and judgments that are made on the basis of facts. Now, there's certainly a role for politics, and there's certainly a role for personal opinions in public life. But the operations of government, and particularly the creation of new laws and regulations that govern our society, should be based on evidence, not just politics and personal opinions. And what the Price School research is all about is creating that evidence base and using it to publicly impact policymakers in both the private and the public sectors. And I am certainly grateful, as all of us should be, for that. However, the mission of the Price School also involves education as well as research. So for many students, the Price School experience will motivate them to pursue careers in public service while it provides them with the training to make sure that they are successful as public servants. But in my personal opinion, attending the Price School is most important in terms of creating and motivating all students to become engaged citizens who understand how public policy is made and will understand how to have impact to improve and to increase public good. For all of these reasons, I think we can all be proud of this outstanding school and its contributions, both as an institution and in terms of its graduates, and the positive impact it has had on public policy here, across the country, and around the world. Congratulations, one and all.
Leonard told me that he said finally they had a podium that was the right height. I can hardly read my notes way down there, but at any rate, I want to thank you all for coming tonight and celebrating with us. I was really encouraged by the buzz and the conversation and the excitement out in the rotunda for alumni and supporters of the school getting together and experiencing this special day. And I encourage you to participate with us over the course of this year. We're going to have some pretty serious substantive events as well that focus on some of the policy and planning and development issues that we face as a society, but we wanted to kick off with a party. And this has been a tremendous party and a beautiful place. So thank you again all for coming, and look forward to seeing you at the rest of the celebration over the course of the year. Thank you very much.